Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be testing and reviewing a $90 foundation. $90. That is like 14 spicy chicken sandwiches from Popeyes. Not that I've had 14 at the same time, but you know what I'm saying. And this is the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. And for 35 ml, it's $90. So before anybody comes for me in the comments and says that I'm listing a higher price than most people are talking about, it's because your girl lives in Canada and unfortunately things are just more expensive in Canada. So this foundation cost me $90 plus 13% tax. So the total of this 35 milliliter foundation came to $101.70. What am I doing with my life? All I know is that for $101.70, this foundation better do my taxes for me and fold all of the laundry that is sitting in a pile on a chair because I hate folding laundry so much. You better grow some legs. That's all I know. Anyways, I don't know what made me want to buy this foundation. Maybe it was the price point. It made me think that it's going to be bomb because apparently Pat McGrath stuff is bomb. I haven't personally tried any of her other stuff besides her mascara, which I'm wearing right now. So maybe it was just all the influencers talking about this foundation that made me have FOMO, which made me pull out my credit card, put this foundation in my cart, purchase it, and then cry in the corner waiting for it to come. So here we are. Thought I'd just give my thoughts on it since people care about my thoughts. Not really. Anyways, before we get into the video, you know the drill. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe because I am your local internet grandma, and give this video a thumbs up, and let's get straight into this review. So just to be fair to the foundation, I also picked up the primer and the powder that is complete with this set. It's not sold as a set, so I did have to purchase everything individually. But starting with the foundation, first impression, I really like the packaging of the box. And then the foundation itself comes in a glass jar like this. And this has got some weight to it. Like it feels heavy, like a brick. Like I can smash through a window with this, even though I don't suggest doing that. It feels heavy, it feels expensive. I picked up the color medium 18. Now moving on to the primer, probably should have opened this, sorry. Here's some ASMR. This is really flimsy. This looks and feels really cheap. I don't know if you guys can see here, like the sticker is like half-ass stuck on here. So I think with like usual wear and tear of me picking it up or putting this in my travel bag, like this is not going to be a fun time and it's going to get very sticky. It's cheap plastic. Like I don't know if you guys can hear that, but this feels really, really cheap. A little disappointed in the packaging for the primer. I wish they put a little bit more effort into this because this was not cheap. Like this primer was $80. This feels like I would pay $10 for this. Like it is very flimsy and a little disappointing. So I don't know. But at the end of the day, it just matters how it performs, even though $80 is a lot of money for a primer that feels like $10. So hopefully the formula is bomb and makes up for the packaging. And then I picked up the powder, which is the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Setting Powder. This is 5 grams. How much was this? This powder was $80. What? And this is also like very cheap packaging. Like my Milani powder is the exact same packaging. Let me show you guys, hold on. Oh my gosh, I am dying right now. So this is the Pat McGrath powder packaging, $80. And this is my favorite powder from the drugstore, which is by Milani. And they look identical. The Pat McGrath one is a little bit more product. Like this is 5 grams and this is 3.5 grams, but this was like $10. I just realized that all 3 of these products cost me $250 before tax. Like at this rate, I need to start making consistent videos on YouTube so I can afford these things. So I decided to use and test this foundation when my skin isn't at its best because number one, I didn't have a choice. This is real life and sometimes we go through bad skin days and you just gotta deal with it. And number two, I feel like if you already have perfect skin and you're testing a foundation, every foundation is just gonna perform perfectly. It's just the wearability that's just not gonna be perfect, but I don't have perfect skin right now. So I have some leftover freckles from my previous video. My skin broke out into all these tiny little whiteheads. I don't know if you guys can see them. Usually it happens whenever I eat something. Now I don't know what I ate because I eat a lot. So basically my skin feels like leather and that is just awesome and the perfect time to test a foundation. This primer says that it is a perfecting primer that smooths, hydrates, and blurs with a sublime silken effect that ensures a flawless canvas. So basically this is supposed to create an even and luminous surface that feels incredibly smooth. I could totally use that right now because like I said, my skin feels like leather. So the texture is very milky and creamy on this primer. It has a slight scent to it, but it's not a good scent to me. Like to me, it reminds me of my mom's expired makeup. I know that's harsh, but for $80, this should smell like $80. So on my skin, it feels hydrated. I have like normal combination skin, by the way, so it also feels pretty silicone-y. So like I can see here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's kind of flaky. There's nothing else on my skin besides this primer, so it shouldn't be mixing with anything. And just by using it on its own, like it's doing this weird flake. You can see this on my hands. So far the primer is not looking impressive to me, but maybe it's gonna perform with the foundation. For the foundation, the Vita Serum Complex moisturizes and helps fight the appearance of wrinkles, while Diamond Core Powder Technology enhances skin texture and helps smooth and blur the appearance of fine lines, pores, and imperfections. This silky, weightless formulation imparts a filtered, soft focus luminosity. This sounds very, very interesting, and I could totally use the blurred look on my face right now because my skin is not the best right now. I'm just gonna shake it up. Pat McGrath does sell brushes to go with the powder and the foundation, but those were also like $70 each, and no thank you. I just take a little bit onto the back of my hand. That looks like it might not be my color. So I'm just gonna get it all over. It does have pretty light coverage. You can see it didn't fully cover my burn. It covered some of my faux freckles, but it's not really blurring any of the texture that I have on my skin. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, the color isn't too bad for my skin. So here is one layer of the foundation. It looks like skin. So far, I like it. Put on a second layer and see how it looks. Okay, second layer. I like the coverage. I feel like it covered most of my freckles. 2 layers kind of looks and feels a little slimy. So I'm just gonna go through with my beauty sponge and blend it into my skin. 2 layers. Blend it out completely, and then 1. Okay, so I need to use up all of this because this is expensive. We're no wasting here. I don't really see any blurring the look of imperfection. I don't know, like I don't really see anything. Don't really know if the primer did anything. This foundation was saying that it blurs imperfection and it smooths your skin and it makes it look flawless. I don't see any of that, to be honest. Like, this is real life skin that's textured, that has acne, that, you know, is not perfect. And I don't really see the claims I am just going to use the powder now and set it. This is a brilliantly buildable ultra weightless luxe setting powder that imparts radiant perfection in 5 shades, formulated to match any skin tone. So it's ultra weightless, buildable, delivers major soft focus effects, and makes the skin look naturally refined with a divine finish. Blurs the look of imperfections for long-lasting makeup that stays flawlessly in place. All right, let's try this. I feel like I'm setting my makeup with money. So here's my skin after using the primer, foundation, and powder. So I'm just gonna apply my bronzer, my lower lash mascara, highlighter, etc., my lips off camera, and then I'll be right back to let you know how the foundation takes other products. Here is my entire face done. I just put on a little bit of bronzer, blush, and I didn't highlight the tops of my cheekbones because, like I said, my skin is very textured right now. It feels like leather and I don't want to emphasize that. I feel like the foundation took the other products really well. Like, I feel like it didn't move and it looks pretty. I actually really like the way that the foundation looks. It looks like skin. Didn't hide my texture or blur imperfections or anything like that. Like, I could still see the pores on my face here in this area, and it still feels textured. Obviously, a foundation isn't a miracle worker. I don't know, I really like the finish of the foundation. I feel like it's very skin-like. It's a very artist type foundation. This is not your Instagram foundation where you have full coverage and like a full face. This is sheer to medium coverage for your everyday person, which I really like. It looks like skin in real life. I feel like it kind of looks like skin on camera too. Like, it doesn't look cakey or anything like that. It looks like my skin. Blurring wise, I feel like there are better products that blur. Foundation was very easy to blend. I didn't have any trouble with it sticking in certain areas. I didn't feel like it felt heavy. I didn't feel like it was hard to blend with a brush or a sponge. I noticed that when you first put the foundation on, it looks wet. And as soon as you let it sit on your skin for a little while, it turns into a skin finish. It didn't get ashy around my mouth as much as most foundations do, because I have hyperpigmentation in this area, and even if you can't see the hyperpigmentation, my skin texture is just different around my mouth, which a lot of desis have, and putting the foundation on top, my skin texture doesn't feel weird. Usually I don't put foundation in this area because it just feels weird to me, and it feels like I'm putting foundation over my goatee and it just feels uncomfortable, but this does not feel uncomfortable at all. So that is a plus. I'm just gonna head out right now because my sister texted me and asked me where I am, and I told her that I left like an hour ago. So I'm gonna head out. I'll check in with you guys in a couple hours and let you know how it looks. Okay, so I am in my car. I just wanted to show you guys how it looks in natural lighting. It is kind of shitty weather, so it has been raining on my face, the rain and the wind. I got beat up a little bit by the rain and the wind because it's kind of thunderstormy. So far, when I look in the mirror, I can see the faux freckles peeking through a little bit, so let's see how it wears throughout the rest of the day. I have literally had it on for maybe 3 hours now. Okay, we are back. How long has it been? 11 hours now. My hair got tired and so did I, so that's why I look like I'm sleepy, because it's past my bedtime. As you can see, it did not last in this area. It's kind of slicky, like you can see very clearly in this area, and on my forehead I am pretty slick, like here as well. I wasn't wearing any highlighter, but now I got that natural highlight going on, which is sweat. It also did not hide my texture or blur my skin in any way, in the way that I thought that it would. It did a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but it didn't do $90 worth of blurring plus $80 primer worth of blurring plus $80 powder worth of blurring. There is no foundation on the market that you're gonna get that's gonna hide your texture. It just doesn't exist. I feel like that comes from your primer, but unfortunately the primer that goes with this foundation did not perform for me. So those are kind of my gripes with the whole foundation routine. I would 100% pass on the primer. I wouldn't pay any more than $20 for what this did. Like, I feel like it didn't really do anything for me. I don't even know if I would pay $20 for that primer. I also don't feel like it did anything to help the foundation. Now, the foundation itself, the color match was really good. Like, I kept looking at myself throughout the day in the mirror and I felt like the color didn't look too orange. It didn't oxidize too much or anything like that. It kind of stayed true to how it looked when I first put it on, which is not the case for me with a lot of foundations. They oxidize a bit and they either turn gray or they get really orangish, and this did not do that, so that's definitely a positive. I kind of like the foundation. Kind of mad that I like the foundation because it's so expensive. I can see myself gravitating towards this on my nicer skin days because I really like the finish of this foundation. It feels like skin to me. Normally, whenever I wear foundation and more medium coverage foundations that are meant to be matte, by this time, I feel like I just want to take my nails and just scrape off the cake, and I feel disgusting and I just want my makeup off my face. And I don't feel that way with this foundation. It feels very skin-like. This feels like my skin. Like, you can barely feel it on your skin, which is a very big plus point for me. That is kind of what elevated this foundation for me, because I am always looking for something that looks and feels like skin, and this definitely does. As much as my bank account hates it, I probably will repurchase this foundation again after it finishes. Hopefully it doesn't finish soon. The powder. Save yourself $80, go to the drugstore and buy the Milani one, because this did not outperform this, and this is like 8 times as much. So I don't recommend the powder. I feel like it's very, very expensive for what it does. It doesn't even feel expensive though, which is what bothers me. Like the La Mer powder, that feels expensive. It feels like you spent shmoney on that powder. This feels like I spent shmoney on cheap plastic that doesn't even perform that great. So skip the powder. I don't really have much to say about it. I'm gonna use it still because I spent money on it and I don't want it to go to waste. But if you are thinking about purchasing it because you're looking for a new translucent powder, it's a no for me. I forgot to mention one thing that I fell in love with. I wore my glasses throughout the day for driving and just because I felt like being able to see sometimes. And the thing that I loved about this foundation is normally when I wear my glasses, I get cakiness in the nose area here. But you can see there's none of that. Like, there's no buildup here. So that is definitely a good sign that this is not a cakey foundation. Like, it's very, very skin-like. It's something very, very small, but it's just something that I really like. Like, normally I have a ton of makeup on my glasses and there's literally nothing here. Now, I don't know if that's because the foundation feels like skin or the foundation disappeared off of my nose, but it doesn't look like it disappeared off my nose. Like, it still looks pretty even to me. So I don't know, it's something really small, but those are the everyday real life things that make me happy, and I just had to mention that before I go. So that is about it for this review wear test. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you have purchased this foundation or if you are on the fence about purchasing it. If you like it, don't like it, let me know. I was actually very pleasantly surprised, and I was shocked that I liked it because of how expensive it is. Usually I'm pretty cheap and salty over expensive makeup, but this one won me over by the way that it feels. So that's about it for me. I am about to go make my green tea and head to bed because it is past 9:30 and that means it's past my bedtime. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you and I will see you in my next one. Bye!